There's a reason why the most emotionally guarded people you know are also the ones carrying the heaviest dreams. And if you've ever loved a Capricorn, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They don't show you when they're hurting. They don't tell you when they're falling apart. They just work harder, smile less, and lock themselves tighter than ever. On the surface, Capricorn looks like the most put-together person in the room. They meet deadlines. They take care of everyone. They carry responsibility like it's stitched into their DNA. But underneath that cold control is a world few ever get to see. A world of deep emotion, long-buried wounds, unspoken dreams, and fears that whisper in the quiet of night. Capricorn isn't cold. They're cautious. They're not emotionless. They're just survivors of emotional realities most people would collapse under. And here's the truth no one talks about. Capricorns are hiding. Not because they're liars, but because they learned early on that being real isn't always safe. Behind the practicality, there is poetry. Behind the logic, there is longing. And behind the silence is someone hoping you'll notice what they don't dare say. If you've ever stood across from a Capricorn and felt like they were right there but unreachable, if you've ever been confused by their emotional distance, or if you are a Capricorn and you've spent your whole life feeling like no one truly sees what's going on beneath your armor, then this video is for you. Because today, we're not just talking about zodiac traits. We're opening the vault. We're walking into the inner sanctum of Capricorn's emotional and spiritual world, the place where they keep their 12 deepest, most unspoken secrets. The ones they'd never post, never text, never say out loud. And we're not doing this to expose them, but to understand them. Because when you understand why a Capricorn hides, you begin to see what they're actually protecting. And when you really see that, your relationship with them will never be the same. So don't just watch this with curiosity. Watch with compassion. Watch with the kind of attention you'd want someone to give to you if your soul was made of locked rooms and invisible wounds. Let's begin. Secret number 1. Their emotions are not absent, they're armored. They say silence speaks volumes. But with a Capricorn, silence is a fortress. A steel-clad shield built from years of learning that vulnerability invites risk and sometimes pain. Capricorns are often mistaken for being emotionless, cold, distant. But that's one of the biggest misconceptions in all of astrology. Because the truth is, Capricorns feel everything, but they feel it inward, silently, fiercely, alone. They are masters of emotional self-containment, not because they're incapable of feeling, but because they've been conditioned by childhood, by culture, by responsibility to believe that emotion must never interfere with performance. So they don't cry in public. They don't explode in anger. They don't collapse into your arms and say, "I'm scared." Instead, they go quiet. They get sharper, focused. They work harder, push forward. And all the while, they're bleeding on the inside in a language almost no one is fluent in. A story behind the silence. Let me tell you about someone I once knew, a Capricorn woman named Eliza. She was the one everyone called when their life fell apart. The reliable one, the strong one. But behind her calculated calm, she was carrying a grief so deep, it made her physically sick. Her father passed away unexpectedly, but you wouldn't know it. She showed up to work the next day. She answered every email. She never once said, "I need a break." What most people didn't see was this. Every night, after the world went to sleep, she sat in her living room, lights off, replaying old voicemails from her dad. Not crying, just absorbing the loss like a stone absorbing rain, quietly, until she couldn't breathe. That's Capricorn. Not emotionless, but deeply emotional, hidden behind an armor they forged out of necessity. Why they do this? Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the strict father of the zodiac. Saturn doesn't reward raw emotion. It rewards self-discipline, maturity, and sacrifice. So from a young age, many Capricorns learn. Emotions are distractions. Feelings get in the way of function. If you want to be respected, you need to be in control. And thus, they develop a defense system so refined, it becomes invisible. Even to their closest friends. Even to themselves. The hidden cost. But there's a cost to living like this. When Capricorns repress their emotional world, they often find themselves feeling isolated even in relationships. They long to be understood, but they won't speak. They hope someone will ask, but they won't open the door. They crave deep connection, but they fear the exposure that comes with it. This creates a loop. They stay strong so no one worries. But because no one worries, no one truly sees them. So they feel more alone, more misunderstood. And the armor thickens. Life lesson. Capricorn's emotional silence isn't rejection, it's protection. If you're close to a Capricorn and you feel like they're not letting you in, don't walk away. Don't accuse them of being cold. Instead, earn their trust. Respect their boundaries. And when they finally open the door, even just an inch, you'll see one of the most beautiful, sensitive souls in the zodiac. And if you are a Capricorn, please hear this. Your strength is real. But your feelings matter too. You don't have to carry everything alone. You are allowed to feel. You are allowed to be held. You are allowed to rest. Let's move forward now, into a darker part of the Capricorn inner world, one they'd never say out loud, but that many of them live with every single day. Secret number 2 is coming next. The doubt behind the confidence, Capricorn's imposter syndrome. Secret number 2, the doubt behind the confidence, Capricorn's hidden imposter syndrome. They walk into the room with their head held high. They speak with clarity. They lead with authority. But deep inside, many Capricorns are quietly whispering to themselves, "What if I'm not really good enough?" This is the paradox of Capricorn. To the outside world, they appear solid as granite. But beneath that mountain-like stability, there's a fault line trembling with insecurity, one they'd rather die than reveal. And this insecurity doesn't come from laziness or failure. It comes from success, from achievement, from the haunting suspicion that somehow, despite everything they've built, they've just been really, really good at faking it. The story of success that doesn't feel real. Marcus was a Capricorn executive in his late 30s. Harvard grad. $1 million startup. He had everything society praises: wealth, status, power. But the night after being named in Forbes' top 30 under 40, he called his best friend and said, "I feel like I've tricked everyone. If they knew how unsure I am half the time, I think they'd laugh in my face." That's the Capricorn imposter syndrome. It doesn't scream. It whispers. In boardrooms. At family dinners. At quiet moments of reflection. And worst of all, no one ever suspects it's there. Why this happens? Capricorns are born with a blueprint of excellence and responsibility, courtesy of Saturn. They're taught, consciously or not, that to be worthy, they must be competent, be in control, be better than yesterday. But this lifelong pursuit of mastery creates a dangerous trap. Every achievement becomes the new standard. And the moment they reach it, they minimize it. It's never enough. They're never enough. So while others are celebrating their victories, Capricorn is already on to the next challenge, trying to outrun the voice that says, maybe this time they'll see you don't really know what you're doing. Why it's so painful. What makes this self-doubt particularly devastating for Capricorn is their deep commitment to truth. Capricorns are honest, ethical. They despise pretense. So when they begin to feel like they're not really what others believe them to be, it feels like they're living a lie. But here's the beautiful contradiction. Even in their self-doubt, they keep showing up. Even when the voice says, "You're not ready," they lead anyway. Even when they feel like frauds, they continue building the very empires they're unsure they deserve. That's not deception. That's courage. The quiet kind. Life lesson. Just because you question your worth, doesn't mean you lack it. To the Capricorns out there, you're not fooling anyone. You're earning everything. The late nights, the double-checking, the quiet overthinking, it's not failure. It's the evidence of your integrity. Let this be your truth. You can be both confident and questioning. You can lead and still feel afraid. And the fact that you show up anyway is exactly why you are worthy. And for those who love a Capricorn, know that beneath their proud posture might live a quiet ache for reassurance. Offer it. Without condescension. Without pity. With respect. With sincerity. With belief in them even when they don't believe in themselves. Next up, we explore a contradiction that might surprise you even more. Capricorn's relentless independence, and their quiet, unspoken need for validation. Secret number 3, they crave praise but won't ask for it. You'd never know it by looking at them. Capricorns move through life with an aura of quiet confidence. They don't fish for compliments. They don't brag. In fact, they'll often wave off your praise with a simple, "It's no big deal." But don't be fooled. Because behind that modest shrug lives a secret truth. Capricorns deeply, silently, profoundly crave recognition. They want to be seen. They want to be appreciated. But they'll never ask for it. Why the wall exists. Growing up, many Capricorns were the strong ones. The responsible sibling. The straight-A student. The kid who didn't need reminding. And over time, they internalized a brutal lesson. Praise is for people who surprise you. I'm expected to deliver. So when they excel, it's not celebrated, it's assumed. And over the years, this builds a pattern. They overachieve in silence. They succeed without applause. And they learn to downplay their own need for acknowledgement even from themselves. A real story of hidden validation. A woman named Clara, a Capricorn and single mother, worked 2 jobs to put her son through college. She never missed a shift. Never complained. Never asked for help. And when he graduated, he gave a beautiful speech at his ceremony, but he didn't mention her. Not once. She smiled. She clapped. She hugged him. But when she got home that night, she cried in the kitchen alone because she realized, he didn't even see what I gave up for him. That's the Capricorn heartbreak. They pour themselves into others. They carry weight no one else notices. And when acknowledgement doesn't come, they don't explode. They just go quiet. But inside, they remember. They replay it. They feel it more deeply than anyone would guess. The double standard. Capricorns believe in earning everything, especially praise. So when someone compliments them without basis, they'll often reject it. But when someone gives specific, genuine recognition, it lights them up. They'll replay those words in their mind like a song. They might never say how much it meant, but they'll remember it forever. They'll remember. The friend who noticed their effort. The boss who acknowledged the invisible work. The partner who said, "I'm proud of you," without needing a reason. These rare moments become emotional anchors, reminders that someone did see them. Life lesson. Even the strongest souls need to hear, you matter. To the Capricorns watching, you've learned to survive without applause. But don't let that convince you that you don't deserve it. And if you love a Capricorn, don't wait for them to ask. Look deeper. Notice the quiet effort, the long hours, the things they never mention, and tell them, you're seen, you're appreciated, you're doing more than enough. It might be the first time they believe it. Coming up next, we leave the emotional world behind for just a moment and step into something that few associate with Capricorn. Secret number 4, the Midnight Dreamer, Capricorn's secret fantasy life. By day, they're builders of structure. They manage teams, run households, meet deadlines. They make practical decisions, logical moves, strategic steps. To the world, Capricorn is all about reality. But when the world falls asleep, a different Capricorn awakens. Because there's a side of Capricorn you'll rarely, if ever, get to see. The dreamer. The artist. The night owl who slips into a world where logic has no power and imagination runs free. What happens after dark? Late at night, when the spreadsheets are closed and the house is quiet, Capricorn retreats to a sacred inner world. Not to check stocks or plan budgets, but to dream. They envision a different life in a coastal village, painting at sunrise. A bookstore hidden in the mountains, filled with their favorite authors. A quiet life without pressure, where they grow their own food and write poetry. And here's the part no one suspects. These aren't fleeting daydreams. They're elaborate mental worlds, mapped out with Capricorn's signature precision. They imagine floor plans, budgets, daily routines, even backup generators. Because even in fantasy, Capricorn plans. But this time, the plan isn't for the world. It's for their soul. A story of secret dreaming. Take Alex, a Capricorn project manager in San Diego. To his colleagues, he was the most grounded, detail-obsessed person in the office. But at home, he spent hours writing science fiction under a pseudonym. He had 6 full-length novels hidden in folders on his laptop. Never shared. Never published. Not even with his girlfriend. When asked why, he said, "I just need a place where I don't have to be perfect." That's the secret dreamer inside the Capricorn. Not someone escaping reality, but someone finally free to feel and imagine without judgment. Why they keep it hidden? Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the planet of structure, limits, and responsibility. From childhood, they're often encouraged to grow up fast, to choose careers over dreams, logic over emotion, stability over freedom. So even when their imagination flourishes, it becomes something they protect, not display. Because the moment they reveal it, someone might say, "That's silly. You're too old for that. How's that going to make money?" And that's when the door closes again. Life lesson. Your inner dreamer isn't a weakness, it's a compass. To the Capricorns watching, that secret fantasy you return to night after night. It's not random. It's not ridiculous. It's a message from the part of you that remembers who you were before the world told you who to be. You don't have to abandon your responsibilities to honor your imagination. But you also don't have to bury it anymore. And for those who love a Capricorn, if they ever share a dream with you, listen. Don't joke. Don't dismiss it. Because when a Capricorn shows you that part of themselves, they're not being silly. They're being real in a way they rarely allow. Next, we move deeper into this secret creative life. Because Capricorn doesn't just imagine, they create. They just don't want anyone to know. Secret number 5, hidden artists, Capricorn's private creative outlets. They might wear tailored suits by day, or manage balance sheets, organize logistics, care for aging parents. They're the ones you'd call structured, serious, logical. But behind closed doors, Capricorns create beauty, and not just casually. They create with intensity, with meaning, with quiet obsession. The same focus they bring to work, they bring to painting, to music, to dance, to writing. But there's one thing they almost never do. They don't show it. Artist palette, the hidden world of creation. Capricorn is known as the builder of the Zodiac. And while most people assume this means career or success, it also means craft. The engineer who sketches abstract line art in the back of his journal. The accountant who writes poetry at midnight, then deletes it before anyone sees. The mother of 3 who choreographs dances in the kitchen when everyone's asleep. The retired contractor who builds miniature cities out of wood just for fun. These creative pursuits are not hobbies. They are lifelines. Sacred spaces where Capricorn doesn't have to achieve or explain, just feel. A story of artistic survival. Yanelle was a Capricorn nurse. 12-hour shifts. ER trauma. Endless pressure. No one at work knew that when she went home, she'd sit at her upright piano and compose melancholic melodies every night, without fail. She never performed them. Never recorded them. She said, "If I didn't do this, I'd break apart." That's what most people miss about Capricorn's creative life. It's not performance. It's survival. A place where they can finally release emotion without needing permission. Why they keep it private? Capricorns are perfectionists. And when it comes to their art, they don't want to be judged. Because their creative work isn't just a project, it's their soul unguarded. They can handle criticism at the office. But a critique of their art, that cuts too deep. So they hide it. Not because they don't believe in it, but because it's the one thing in their life that doesn't have to be perfect. It's raw, messy, emotional, and in a world that expects them to always have it together, this is their sacred mess. Life lesson. Not everything you create has to be shared to be valuable. To the Capricorns watching, your art doesn't need an audience to matter. It doesn't have to be profitable to be valid. It doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. And maybe, just maybe, you're allowed to let someone in. Let them see the song, the painting, the paragraph. Not because you need their praise, but because you deserve to be known in your fullness. And for those who love a Capricorn, if they ever share their art with you, don't analyze it. Don't ask, what's the meaning? Just look at it, listen, and say, thank you for showing me this part of you. Because that is a gift of trust most people will never receive. Coming up next, we shift from the private beauty of Capricorn's creative life to something more tender, more unexpected. Their secret longing for the past. Secret number 6, the soft grip of nostalgia, Capricorn's emotional connection to time. Capricorns are known for their forward momentum. They build, they plan, they move ahead. People see them as the architects of the future, always striving, always thinking 5 steps ahead. But beneath that ambition, there's something else quietly pulling at them. Nostalgia. Not the loud kind that posts throwback photos every week. Not the romantic kind that longs for some idealized memory. No. Capricorn's nostalgia is quieter, deeper, more sacred. It's the kind that tucks away old letters in drawers. That saves movie stubs, handwritten notes, broken watches that no longer tick. It's the kind that remembers the exact sound of someone's laugh even after they're gone. Hourglass with flowing sand, why it's so personal. Capricorns have a unique relationship with time. Ruled by Saturn, the lord of time, they feel its weight more than most. They understand the value of a minute. They know how fast childhood disappears. They carry the memory of moments long after the world has forgotten them. But they rarely talk about it. Because Capricorn doesn't want to dwell. They want to honor. They preserve the past not to escape the present, but to keep a sense of continuity. A thread that says, I have been through much, and I remember who I was. A story of quiet remembrance. David, a Capricorn and retired firefighter, kept a small showbox in his closet. Inside, a badge from his first station, a photo of his daughter's first bike ride, a letter from his father who passed away before David turned 30. He never opened it in front of anyone. But once a year, on New Year's Eve, he'd pour himself a glass of bourbon, sit in silence, and go through every item. He said, "I don't want to forget who I've loved, or what I've survived." That's the soft grip of Capricorn nostalgia. It isn't performative, it's sacred. How it shows up. You may not notice it, but if you look closer, they revisit places that no longer exist in their lives, childhood homes, college libraries, the street they first kissed someone. They quietly celebrate anniversaries no one else remembers. They keep voice messages, old photos, birthday cards, even voicemail passwords unchanged for years. To them, these aren't just things. They are anchors. Proof that time is passing, but meaning remains. Life lesson. Remembering where you've been keeps you rooted as you climb. To the Capricorns watching, your longing for the past isn't weakness. It's your wisdom. It's your way of honoring love, loss, and legacy. You are allowed to hold on to the memories that made you. They don't slow you down. They strengthen your foundation. And to those who love a Capricorn, if you notice them getting quiet around certain dates, or returning to familiar places, don't rush them. Don't distract them. Just sit beside them and say, "Tell me what this meant to you." Because when a Capricorn shares a memory, they're not just opening their heart, they're opening time itself. In the next chapter of our journey, we'll begin to explore a side of Capricorn few even imagine. A part of them that's not emotional or creative, but strategic. Because Capricorn doesn't just navigate the world, they study it. They track every interaction, every debt, every loyalty. Secret number 7, the emotional scoreboard, how Capricorn remembers everything. You might think they forgot. It was just a small comment, a missed call, a favor you forgot to return. Years go by, and you assume it didn't matter. But Capricorn remembers, not out of spite, not to hold it against you, but because they track everything emotionally, strategically, and silently. Behind their calm exterior lives one of the most complex memory systems in the Zodiac. A private emotional ledger, a mental scoreboard where loyalty, betrayal, kindness, and neglect are all recorded not just in what happened, but how it happened. They don't announce it. They don't punish you right away. But they're watching, calculating, weighing. The hidden ledger. Capricorns carry what feels like an invisible notebook. In it, they remember who showed up when no one else did, who ignored them when they needed support the most, who made them feel safe, and who made them feel small. They may not even realize they're doing it. But over time, this mental system helps them decide who to let close and who to quietly push away. To some, this may sound petty. But for Capricorn, it's not about revenge. It's about pattern recognition. They use memory as data to protect themselves, to navigate relationships with clarity, to avoid being vulnerable to the same hurt twice. A real story of emotional accounting. There was a Capricorn man named Brandon who once mentored a younger colleague, even covering his mistakes to protect him from upper management. 5 years later, that same colleague rose to a higher position, never once acknowledging Brandon's role in his success. Brandon never said a word. He congratulated him publicly, shook his hand, smiled. But privately, he erased that man from his emotional ledger. Not with anger, but with finality. This is how Capricorns operate. They won't start a scene. They won't confront you. They'll just stop trusting you. Quietly, permanently. Why they do this? Capricorns live with a profound understanding of energy and exchange. They give generously, but not blindly. They believe in earned trust, mutual investment, respect that's shown, not promised. And because they rarely ask for anything, the moments you do step up or don't mean everything. Their memory isn't fueled by drama. It's built on consistency. And once a pattern is clear, they adjust accordingly. Life lesson. Your past actions are not forgotten, they're quietly shaping your place in someone's heart. To the Capricorns watching, your memory is powerful. But remember, holding space for grace can be as wise as keeping score. People make mistakes. Sometimes they simply don't know how much something meant to you. And for those who love a Capricorn, understand this when they tell you they're fine, but something feels off. They might still be calculating what your absence cost them. If you value your connection, don't assume silence means peace. Ask. Show up. Rebuild what might be quietly cracking beneath the surface. Because once a Capricorn closes the emotional ledger on you, it's almost impossible to reopen it. In the next part of our journey, we'll examine how Capricorns use generosity not just as kindness, but as strategy. They give, yes, but they also calculate. Secret number 8, Calculated generosity, when Capricorn gives with purpose. People often call Capricorns generous. And they are. But not in the impulsive, give it all away kind of way. Their generosity is quieter, smarter, sharper. Because when Capricorn gives, whether it's their time, energy, advice, money, or effort, it's never random. It's intentional. It's measured. It's strategic. This doesn't mean they're manipulative. It means they understand that energy is currency, and they refuse to spend it on what doesn't grow. What their generosity really means. Capricorns are not showy givers. They don't post about the people they help. They don't brag when they cover someone's rent or stay late to fix someone else's mistake. They give where it counts, and where it has potential return. Not always material return, but emotional trust, mutual loyalty, future stability. Their generosity says, I believe in you. I'm investing in you. I see the long-term value here. But if you waste it, if you take without acknowledgement or show no signs of growth, they'll stop giving. Not loudly, not with drama, just, completely. A real story of strategic generosity. Melanie was a Capricorn working in corporate finance. She took a junior colleague under her wing, trained him, defended him, even put her name on the line to back one of his risky ideas. He rose fast. But soon after his promotion, he started distancing himself, acting like he made it on his own. He never thanked her, never looked back. Melanie didn't say a word. She just removed her support. Quietly, permanently. Years later, when he stumbled, she didn't intervene. She said, I don't invest twice in people who forget the first time. Why this matters to Capricorn? Capricorns don't give for applause. They give to build. Whether it's a relationship, a career, or a life path. They offer their resources because they see something worthy of growth. But make no mistake, they track everything. Not in a petty way, but in a responsible, accountable, Saturnian way. To them, generosity isn't just about kindness. It's about alignment. Are you someone who values what they give? Are you someone who multiplies what they offer? If yes, they'll give you the world. If not, you'll never even know what you missed. Life lesson. True generosity isn't about how much you give. It's about knowing when, where, and why you give. To the Capricorns watching, your calculated generosity is a gift. Don't let anyone guilt you into giving to people who have shown they won't grow from your effort. You are not cold. You are intentional. And to those who love a Capricorn, if they've given to you, truly given, it means they see long-term potential in you. Don't take that lightly. A Capricorn's investment is not casual. It's a sacred vote of belief. Protect it. Earn it. And most of all, reciprocate it. In the next chapter, we turn the spotlight on a secret that will surprise almost everyone. Because while Capricorn seems like the ultimate rule follower, the truth is far more complex. Secret number 9, selective rule breaking, Capricorn's quiet rebellion. They're seen as the enforcers, the responsible ones, the rule followers, the people who do things by the book. But here's what no one tells you. Capricorn knows exactly where the line is. And when it makes sense, they'll step right over it. But they won't make noise. They won't wave a flag. They won't brag about it on social media. They'll break the rule, get the result, and walk away with their reputation for integrity still perfectly intact. The misconception. Because Capricorn is serious, grounded, and detail-oriented, most people assume they're bound by rigid obedience. But Capricorn's relationship with rules is far more nuanced than people realize. They respect structure, yes. They value systems, absolutely. But when those systems become inefficient, outdated, or unjust, Capricorn becomes the most brilliant and subtle rebel in the room. A real story of silent defiance. Lorenzo was a Capricorn attorney known for his precision and ethics. He was also known for never losing a case. What his colleagues didn't know, he often exploited obscure legal clauses to flip outcomes in his client's favor. Loopholes, technicalities, strategic omissions, all legal, all justifiable, but also highly unconventional. He once told a mentee, I don't break the rules. I understand them better than most people. That's why I know where they can bend. That's the essence of Capricorn's selective rebellion. They don't need to shatter the system. They simply outsmart it. Why they do it? Capricorns are governed by Saturn, the planet of structure, but also wisdom. They've studied how the world works. And they know when a rule exists to help, and when a rule exists just to maintain power. When the latter shows up, Capricorn doesn't argue. They adapt. Quietly, intelligently, efficiently. Because to Capricorn, success isn't just about playing fair. It's about playing smart. What it looks like in real life. The teacher who gives their struggling student extra time even when policy says not to. The manager who bypasses red tape to get their team what they need. The business owner who ignores industry standard and invents a more ethical system from scratch. They're not trying to be rebels. They're trying to be effective. To get things done. To solve problems. To protect people who would be crushed under bureaucracy. But you'll rarely know they're doing it. Because Capricorn never needs credit for their rebellion. They just need results. Life lesson. Real power isn't in always following the rules. It's in knowing which rules deserve to be followed, and which ones deserve to be replaced. To the Capricorns watching, your quiet rebellion is not betrayal. It's wisdom in action. You were never meant to be a pawn. You were meant to be a strategist. And for those who think Capricorn is just another rule-obsessed authority figure, look closer. They're not slaves to structure. They're engineers of transformation. They play within the system until the system stops working. And then, they build something better. Next, we'll enter the most private territory yet. The deeply personal rituals Capricorn relies on before moments that matter. They never talk about them. But they never start anything important without them. Secret number 10, the rituals of success, Capricorn's private superstitions. To the outside world, Capricorn is pure logic. Rational. Grounded. No nonsense. The last person you'd expect to believe in anything mystical or magical. And yet, before every big moment in their life, they follow a ritual. You won't see it. They'll never talk about it. But it's there. Every time. A coin in their pocket. A mantra whispered under their breath. A certain pen. A specific coffee cup. A playlist only they understand. It's not because they're superstitious. It's because they understand the psychology of preparation. Capricorn doesn't need luck. But they do need mental readiness. And rituals give them that edge. Where it begins. For most Capricorns, these rituals don't come from religion or tradition. They're born from pattern and performance. One day they succeed, and afterward, they realize they followed a certain routine. So next time, they replicate it. And again. And again. Eventually, that sequence becomes sacred. It might be tapping a notebook 3 times before a meeting, wearing the same watch to every important interview, lighting a candle before every major project, meditating in silence for 12 minutes exactly. Whatever it is, it becomes part of their inner operating system. Not because they think the object has power, but because the ritual itself clears the mental noise. It grounds them, focuses them, shields them. A real story of ritual and control. Jared, a Capricorn startup founder, once told a friend that he couldn't pitch to investors unless he wore his father's vintage cufflinks. Not because they brought him luck, but because they reminded him why he was doing this in the first place. Those cufflinks, they represented legacy, discipline, and sacrifice. He said, "They put me in the right mind. I walk into the room different when I wear them." That's Capricorn energy in its purest form. Private, purposeful, powerful. Why they never talk about it. Capricorns fear being misunderstood. They don't want anyone thinking they're irrational. So they keep these habits hidden. Because to admit that they believe in something intangible feels too vulnerable. But make no mistake. These rituals are not weakness. They are a personal covenant between Capricorn and their purpose. Life lesson. You don't have to believe in magic to believe in meaning. To the Capricorns watching, you are allowed to keep your rituals sacred. They don't have to make sense to others. They only have to work for you. And for those who love a Capricorn, if you ever catch them doing something strange before a big day, don't mock it. Don't ask them to explain. Just respect it. Because what you're witnessing is more than routine. It's a quiet invocation of their inner strength. In the next part, we explore one of the most surprising and emotionally revealing secrets of Capricorn. They're longing for a very different life than the one they're known for. Secret number 11, the retirement fantasy, the escape plan no one knows about. Capricorns are the workhorses of the Zodiac. The overachievers. The planners. The CEOs. The caretakers. From the outside, it seems like they'll never stop. But here's what no one knows. Most Capricorns secretly dream about disappearing. Completely. Silently. Forever. Not in a dramatic way. Not because they hate their life. But because deep down, Capricorn is exhausted. And they've been exhausted for years. The dream they never say out loud. You'd never guess it from the outside. They seem so driven, so invested, so in control. But buried beneath the spreadsheets and 5-year plans is a fantasy they visit almost every night. A cottage in the mountains where no one knows their name. A farm in the countryside where the phone never rings. A small bookshop by the sea where they serve coffee and recommend poetry. A van. A garden. A quiet cabin. A simple life. They don't want applause. They don't want more titles. They want peace. But no one knows. Because they've built an identity around being the one who never stops. A real story of the quiet escape. Marisa, a Capricorn architect, had led multi-million-dollar design projects for 2 decades. She had awards, a team, a legacy. But what no one knew was that she'd been secretly planning to retire early. Not to relax, but to live off-grid in Colorado with goats and an herb garden. When asked why, she said, "I've spent my entire life building for others. Now I just want to build something no one else ever sees." That's the hidden longing of Capricorn. Not to abandon their values, but to finally live for themselves. Why they stay silent about it. Capricorns are tied to duty, to responsibility, to being the one everyone counts on. And the idea of leaving all that behind, it feels selfish, even if their soul is begging for it. So they keep the fantasy quiet, tucked away between meetings, revisited late at night when the world is asleep. But it's always there, a soft whisper under the noise. What if I could just stop? The deeper meaning. Capricorn's retirement fantasy isn't just about escaping stress. It's about coming home to themselves, to the part of them that never got to play, that never rested, that never felt free from the weight of performance. They don't want to stop contributing to the world. They just want to do it on their own terms. Life lesson. Sometimes the most powerful life you can build is the one no one else sees. To the Capricorns watching, you are allowed to dream of softness. You are allowed to long for stillness. You don't have to earn the right to rest. And for those who love a Capricorn, if they ever tell you they want to walk away from it all, believe them. Don't try to talk them out of it. Ask them why, and listen carefully. Because when a Capricorn finally speaks about their secret escape, they're not giving up. They're finally coming back to themselves. And now, we arrive at the final secret. The most vulnerable one of all. The part of Capricorn no one sees, unless they are truly, completely trusted. Secret number 12, the inner child, the joy they hide from the world. They are the grown-ups in every room. The ones who act older than their age even as children. Responsible, reliable, stoic. But behind all that, lives a child. Still laughing, still dreaming, still waiting. You won't see it often. Capricorn keeps their inner child under lock and key. Not because it's gone, but because it's sacred. And sacred things must be protected. What the inner child looks like. You might catch a glimpse of it by accident. The Capricorn who builds an elaborate blanket fort with their kids just because. The corporate executive who dances in their socks when no one's home. The responsible partner who suddenly turns into a jokester during road trips. The tough-as-nails friend who still secretly watches cartoons or eats cereal at midnight. These aren't regressions. They're returns. To something true. To something whole. The Capricorn inner child isn't silly, it's pure joy. And they guard it because it's the one part of them that still feels untouched by the world's expectations. A story of hidden play. Brian, a Capricorn financial analyst, was known for being meticulous. On time. On task. No nonsense. But on weekends, he'd build Lego cities. Not for his kids. Not for a YouTube channel. Just for himself. He said, "I spent so long growing up that I never got to be little. So now, I give that child the space he never had." That's the secret most people never understand. Capricorn doesn't reject playfulness. They just hide it until it's safe. Why they hide it? Capricorns grow up fast. They're praised for being mature, independent, so serious. And over time, they learn. Joy is for later. Laughter is earned. Play comes after the work is done, if ever. So they bury it. Not because they don't feel it, but because they were trained to suppress it. But it never dies. It waits. For safety. For softness. For trust. The deepest trust of all. If a Capricorn ever lets you see their playful side, if they laugh loudly, if they act silly, if they let go of control, even for a moment, you are witnessing something sacred. Something they don't give easily. Something that says, "With you, I don't have to be perfect. With you, I can be free. And that is a gift. Because for Capricorn, joy isn't just pleasure, it's healing. Life lesson. The most powerful people are the ones who can protect their tenderness in a world that told them to grow up too fast. To the Capricorns watching, your inner child deserves more than silence. It deserves laughter, movement, wonder. You don't have to wait until everything is done to feel joy. Let that child come out and play, not just in secret, but in life. And for those who love a Capricorn, don't mistake their maturity for coldness. Sometimes, the most serious